Hey, welcome everyone. It's so nice to have you joining me today. For the next 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, we're going to focus on one thing that's going to make everything in your life, well, either easier or unnecessary. So, what am I going to be talking about today? Well, what I'm going to focus on today is something that we all experience. You see, every one of us experience some form of setback, or possibly we miss a particular target, or we have some form of disappointing outcome at some point in our professional journey. But the big question that I'm going to ask you today is, when you experience these particular, let's call them failures for a short moment, when you experience these type of failures, how do you come back from them? Is it something where you tend to just withdraw and give up? Or do you learn from the lesson so that you can move forward? You see, when we start looking at high performers and we compare them to, let's call them stalled performers, because we're all performers, we're all going to get there, but we're kind of a little bit stalled in the moment. What is that difference? Well, I can tell you now, it's not about avoiding the failure. High performers don't avoid failure. What they do is they actually learn from it. And by learning from it, they actually see how they can start to move forward so quickly. So today I'm going to be talking about turning those setbacks and actually leveraging them for you to become a high performing individual. This sounds great. And it sounds like, well, Stuart, you're going to do something that most of us kind of think, well, once we failed, we failed. It's done. No, it's not. Failure, in fact, is actually a lesson. And it's a lesson that is actually teaching us on what step to take going forward. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this particular session, is how we can actually take those failures, those setbacks, those missed outcomes, or possibly just the targets where, hey, you had to finish by Friday, but we didn't finish it by Friday. How do we learn from that so that we can start to move forward? You see, extraordinary results, it's built sequentially, not simultaneously. So when you start to get some form of progress as you're moving forward, it actually starts to compound, especially when you're doing the right actions every single day. Those right actions, they start to compound, and you actually start to learn from the little feedback that you're getting. Hey, there's a setback. Oh, well, now I can do it better. And then as you continually start stacking these small wins over time, it starts to move closer and closer to what we like to call high performance. And that's where every one of you want to actually go through to. So, the big question here, Stuart, how do we take this failed experiment, which was what we did in the past, and actually make it into something successful? Well, I'm going to share with you three little tips. And it's these three actionable tips that can help you in your business as you're going forward. In fact, not only in your business, but it can also help you in your professional life to actually go forward. So, the very first one, and it's something that we use in coaching quite often. When we do reflections and we find out what were the successes, how did you manage to go through that, what were the failures or challenges that you're actually faced, and we'll do a reflection on all of that. What we actually do, all of that information is a bit of feedback. We're actually going to reframe that feedback and make sure that it's something positive. You see, we're going to reframe the failure into something that's going to work for you, that's going forward. So, how do we do that? Well, the first thing, I want you to recognize that any failure that you've experienced, it's not an identity. I don't want you to suddenly believe, hey, I am a failure. No, it's not an identity. All right. So I want you to remove that. I want you to recognize failure is, in fact, data. It's information, it's history that you can learn from. It is so important for you to start reframing it as this data, this feedback that you can come in and go, hey, I can learn from this. This is what I did. This is what happened when I did it. Now I can see either asking somebody, learning from somebody, oh, maybe I should have done it this way, or I wasn't too sure on how to do it. You see, when we actually take any form of failure and we almost change it into this data, we've got a huge, huge learning curve. You see, owning the outcomes without blame allows learning. This is a big thing. It was a little statement that I actually read. Owning outcomes without blame allows learning. You see, when you blame yourself for a particular outcome, that's all you focus on. Is the outcome how bad it was? Oh, it didn't work. I missed the deadline. And you focus there. No, rather own the outcome without the blame. It allows you to learn from it. Hey, I did it. It's great. I own it. Let's see what worked. Let's see what didn't work. Because this actually will start to replace, and this is a big word, emotional paralysis. You see, emotional paralysis is where we get into a point where we go, oh my gosh, it didn't work. And suddenly we have that sunken feeling, oh, everyone's going to blame me. Everyone's going to look at me. And ultimately what it does is it puts you into this level of paralysis where you actually can't think. And you actually go deeper and deeper into this stress-induced environment. You're putting the blame on yourself because it didn't work. And you're actually going, it's the outcome. The outcome didn't work. I cannot move forward in my life. I know that's an extreme statement, but you can move forward in your life. When you can actually own the outcome without the blame, all right? It happens. Everybody fails. Even the best of us fail. But we go back and we learn from it. So really what I want you to do is I want you to reframe any failure that you have. I want you to reframe the failure as feedback, as data that you can learn from as you're going forward. Now, if you've had some experience in the past where something's failed, sit down. Write down everything that you can think about that journey from when you started to when you completed that particular task, and identify what were the areas that you could have changed. Maybe you could have brought somebody else in. Maybe it's something that you shouldn't have done X, but should have done Y. Learn from it. So the first tip, reframe failure as feedback. This is a big one for you as you're going forward. The second, and this one's just as big, is focus on process over the outcome. You see, again, we spend too much time focusing on the end results. And what we should be doing is actually focusing on the actual process, those steps and actions that we actually take. You see, those daily actions, whether they are the right ones or the wrong ones, sometimes we never know. But what they create is momentum. And it's regardless of what happened yesterday, it's the momentum that you're taking today that's going to give you results. Now, when you start taking these actions and you've done a reflection, you've seen, hey, well, don't do this because I know exactly what's going to happen. When you're aware of it and you're taking those actions, those steps, you're actually going to start moving forward. You see, far too often, again, we focus on that outcome, and then that emotional paralysis kicks in where we start doing nothing. We actually just sit back and go, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. Instead, just take small actions and start creating this momentum. So it's all about focusing on a process, not on the actual outcome. Yes, something didn't go right. But let's carry on going through it because you will get it. You'll ask questions. You'll absorb new knowledge and skills for you to actually go forward. You see, it's these small, consistent behaviors that actually starts to create a long-term skill in both growth and in your self-confidence. We don't want you to get to that point where suddenly growth stops. You don't want to learn anymore. Your self-confidence starts to deplete because then you get the fear that nothing that you can do will ever work. And the truth of it is, everything that you do does work. It does have an outcome. And the outcome isn't the most important factor in this. It's actually the journey. It's creating that memory of going through it. So make sure that you focus on the process, not on the outcome. That's the second one that I really want you to absorb as you get into your mind. The third one, and this one here is, I want to say, when you get stuck in the mud, you basically are just stagnant. You're kind of going, I don't know what to do. All right. And it's at this point, and I know I felt it, you just don't want to do anything. You just want to sit there, shrug your shoulders, and go, well, this is it. Now, the third tip that I want to share with you is I want you to start using small actions to start restoring momentum. It's so, so important. I've had big failures that have occurred in my life, big failures where I've lost major contracts as a result of the actions. When I sit back and I reflect on it, I go, you know what? I shouldn't have actually done that. Maybe I should have actually done this or responded to this email a bit quicker. And at the biggest down, the biggest low, the highest and deepest low that I've ever had, I sat there and I went, now what? And it was just taking small, actionable steps that started to create this momentum. And it's this momentum that starts to build over time. You see, when you start this reflection without momentum, it just stalls. You stand right in your place and you don't go forward at all. But when you can actually just reflect back and go, okay, I know this happened, but what was that process? Let me actually just do one thing, just one small action. And what actually happens is it starts to build this momentum. It's a big wall, it's a big task that's lying ahead of you, but it's small actions that you need to work on every single day. And really, what happens when I'd actually lost the big contracts that I had, and I'd sat back and thought, I'm going to get emotional paralysis and I'm going to do nothing. I promise you now, as time starts going forward, that becomes the habit. That becomes the small activity. It's the activity of doing nothing that starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then soon that habit becomes who I am, where I sit and do nothing. Instead, you need to take the action, but you need to start with immediate effect. When you experience a big setback in your life, don't sit and wait. Reflect and almost immediately start taking corrective actions. You want to break this discouragement that you've got feeling inside of you. You want to basically say, it happened. I will now take that step forward. I know that I did here. I need to correct it in going forward. You see, it's this reactive approach that starts to move you forward. And you can do it. I know that sometimes it feels hard to say, oh my gosh, this setback is so huge. I am lost. Just take small actions, small reflection. What worked? Do that action. What didn't work? Do the opposite. What didn't you do? Do that now. It's taking these small actions that starts to restore the momentum for you to go forward. So those are my 3 tips that I want to share. The very first one is reframe failure as feedback. Remember, it's data. You want to get that feedback so that you can learn from it. The second one is focus on the process, not on the outcome. Don't sit there going, oh, this outcome, the setback, oh my gosh, I don't know what. No, look at the process. What worked? What didn't work? What can I put into action immediately so I can start going forward? And the third one is use action to restore momentum, to get yourself back on track. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Find that corrective action and just do it. Even if it's something where you reflect on what, as I said, what worked, just do that again. Just take those simple single steps each and every day. They will start to build momentum. And the great thing, the journey is now an educated journey. It's a journey where you know what works and what doesn't work because of what you've done in the past. This is where you take yourself from what we refer to as a stalled performer. Okay. Someone that's just kind of got the deer's eyes in front of the headlights, to someone that becomes a high performer, someone that is learning from their mistakes. They're not owning the outcome in a way where that's the only thing. Yes, they own the outcome. They don't blame themselves for it, but they learn from the entire journey as they're going through. You see, success is built one thing at a time. And I want you to remember that. So, what's that one thing, that corrective action that you can take right now, such that by doing it, your most recent setbacks become momentum? Let me rephrase that or resay that. What's the one thing, corrective action that you can take right now, such that by doing that, your most recent setbacks becomes momentum? This is the big question. Remember, success is built one thing at a time. So before you go, I want you to choose one thing from today, and I want you to schedule it. I want you to put it into your diary, and I want you to actually do it. Whether it's doing a quick little reflection on some setback that you've had to learn from it and take those steps forward, or maybe you've just had the setback and you're feeling stuck. I want you to find one action and I want you to put it into motion. I want you to start building that momentum straight away. Or maybe it's just to focus on the process so that you know what worked and what didn't work, and actually removing the blame of that actual outcome. Remember, learning creates awareness. Actions creates results. I'm going to see you in the next session.